Generational wealth. Man, it's so important. Were you guys handed any generational wealth? Do you know what generational wealth is? Let me know in the comments. And that's the topic of discussion for this video. Let's get into the podcast. What's up, guys? It's your boy Ty, and I appreciate you guys coming to check me out on my podcast. Wherever you're catching this at, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, I'm all over the place with this. And make sure you tell people about the podcast, because we're really doing something positive with it. My podcast is all about making sure people are aware of the different avenues to get a piece of the pie. And, I do believe that having these money talks might spark an idea in someone, or it might put you on to something new that maybe you need to look into. All right, and that's what I think we all need to do: have a little bit more conversations about money, finances. Not to gloat, not to say that we are on top of the world or anything, but just to make it known to everyone that, hey, we need to be doing this. We need to be on this, and that's why I have these money talks. Today we're gonna be talking about generational wealth, and of course we have a guest. She's been here before, and of course she's back again because she did such an awesome job. We're gonna try to get her here as often as possible, and it is Mom Deuce. What's up, Angie?
What's going on, everybody?
All right, and of course we're talking about generational wealth, so it's good that I have someone that's part of my family, so we can actually talk about generational wealth too. So first off, I like to say some people don't even know what generational wealth is. A lot of times people hear generational wealth and they just hear money. I mean, people got money, right? But what actually is generational wealth? So generational wealth is when someone hands something down to their family. Most of the time it's parents handing things down to their children or grandchildren. And that can include or consist of money. It could consist of real estate. It could consist of stocks, bonds, or just a business, a company or family business that is handed down through the family. That's generational wealth. That's something that's worth money, worth value that the family is getting. So I like to make sure that everyone knows exactly what generational wealth is. And a lot of times I'm seeing that, we as a culture, we don't get that generational wealth. Of course, I'm talking about the black culture. We don't get that generational wealth. Angie.
Yes.
Were you handed any generational wealth?
No, I wasn't, Ty. I wasn't at all.
Okay. And of course, I'm still young, but I wasn't handed any generational wealth either. And it's all good, right? It's not necessary, but I'm going to tell you guys the difference in receiving generational wealth. So it's story time. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a story that I had. All right, so I was going up for a promotion at my job, right? And I was up against someone that I worked side by side with. And to me, this person was a little lazy. I mean, the type of person that, on the job, he was like, oh, nah, you doing too much. I'm not going to let this place kill me. We ain't doing all that today. I'm like, okay, all right. Or, oh, no, I ain't working overtime. They can't get the money out of me. I mean, get that many hours out of me. I ain't working no overtime. I'm not doing anything. He was the type of person that wasn't going to do anything other than the job required, wasn't going to go above and beyond, was going to make sure that he did his 40 hours and got out. And during his 40 hours, he was going to make sure he worked as less as possible. And to me, at first, I was like, this guy lazy. How in the world he up against me? I was, and he had the name of being lazy. But when I sat and talked to him, on the job, talked to him, I realized that we were different. And different because he had something that I didn't, which was generational wealth. So having the conversation with him, I realized that he, didn't have a mortgage. Me, I had a mortgage and I got to pay, every month. And that right there is a big difference in what type of attitude you have on the job. This guy, again, I thought he was lazy at first, but this guy was going to make sure he wasn't going to spend all his time and effort working for someone else. That's why he was only going to do what was asked of him and wasn't going to go above and beyond, because he understood that he was working for someone else. And of course, because he had that generational wealth, we're going to call this guy Mr. Smith, right? I'm not going to put him out. Hey, if he listening, what's up, man? Because me and this guy became good friends. So let's say Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith lived on Smith Lane. All right. And Mr. Smith lived off of Smith Drive. See what I'm saying? So Mr. Smith, his grandparents and probably their parents left his family land. And with this land, they made sure that the family stayed within this land, and they built upon the land. Plenty of land, just go over there and build yourself a house. I got 3 acres, 4 acres. Go ahead over there and build yourself a house. At the end of the day, you ain't got to pay for no plot of land. And after that was done, they kept it in the family. So Mr. Smith was living in his grandparents' house, which was paid for. And if he wanted to do any renovations or anything like that, he can come out of pocket for that. But he didn't need what I needed, which was I needed that money. I needed that overtime money. So I had to work hard and, have that drive for that. So, like I said, that's the difference in setting your family up for with generational wealth. What you do now might not benefit your direct kids right away, but it could benefit your grandkids and maybe their grandkids and their kids if you build generational wealth. So I just realized at that point that I need to build generational wealth, because God, at the whole time I'm thinking this guy lazy. I'm thinking this guy, how he got this over me. And I'm like, oh, he just got wealth. He got something that was handed down. So I'm like, dang, I got to make sure I build this for my family. And not because, I want to be lazy or anything, or I want my family to be lazy. But we had a conversation in the last video, Angie, and we were talking about how if you give someone else all your hours, you're not going to have time for yourself. You're not going to have time to maybe branch out and start your own business like Angie has, she's done several times.
Right.
You're not going to have that time if you constantly clocking in somewhere, and giving them all your time, and you working Saturday, Sunday. You working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. You're not going to have time to do anything else but that job for those people, So this guy understood that, and I was like, dang, I got to make sure we build that. I don't want to just take the whole show, but that's
making good points though.
That was something that I seen firsthand. I was like, okay, I can't even be mad at that guy. And he did get promoted. We both got promoted at the same time. I know I started with that, and like I said, we good friends. But and another thing he did that I was like, oh man, this is kind of don't got to deal with generational wealth, but because he wanted the position, but he didn't need the position when he got promoted, right? When I got promoted, they said, all right, here's the job. This is what we're going to offer you. Oh, yes, I accept. Thank you. I got the job. You know what he did? He said, oh, no, that ain't enough for me. And this guy works. He doesn't work harder than he was like not even close to working as hard as I work. Not even close to putting in the hours and time that I did. But because he already was comfortable and he didn't necessarily need the position like someone that works hard every day, that need to pay that mortgage, that need to make sure they build that house, or got payments and things like that, because he had the generational wealth already. He was able to make a better business decision because he wasn't in need of the money. We as people, a lot of times we go to work or we putting them hours in. We, at the end of the day, we need the money. We can't just stop working because we're going to lose our house. We can't stop working because we ain't going to be able to take care of our family. But this person, I mean, he ain't had no mortgage. That's a big chunk. Imagine if you didn't have a mortgage. But anyway, he didn't need it. So he was like, oh, nah, there ain't enough money. And because he told me after the fact, he was like, oh, yeah, I got about 2% higher than you because I ain't accept that first offer.
He negotiated the deal.
So that's what I'm saying. Having wealth doesn't mean, or generational wealth. A lot of times, I know back in the day, we said people got silver spoons and they don't know. But if you have that money or you have that wealth behind you, you can make better business decisions.
And that's true.
Way better business decisions. All right. So yeah, that was my little rant. But that's when I honestly saw generational wealth, and I was like, I need to build that. I might have missed it, and maybe my kids coming up right now, they might miss it, but my grandkids after them, and even my kids now, because I got certain stuff in place for them if things go good with my investments and things like that will benefit them too. But I was like, man, we got to get on the ball.
Yes,
we got to get on the ball.
As a people, as a whole, we do.
And it's just like you said, Angie, as a people, how many times do you see that our culture is we the ones that don't have that generational wealth?
We slack in that area.
So slack.
Yep.
So slack. All right. So now that we're talking about generational wealth and a few benefits of having that generational wealth, I want to talk about some small things we can do to build generational wealth. It sounds hard, right? Building generational wealth. It might sometimes seem intimidating, but in my experience, doing some small things now will add up.
That's key.
Will add up. All right. So at this moment, we're going to pause, and if you want to hear the rest of this video, yes, it's early, right? But if you want to hear the rest of this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast, because we have plenty to talk about. And of course, we too are trying to build some generational wealth. It's just 99 cents. You sign up for the podcast and you get access to all the exclusive content that we're going to have.
And it's hot too, y'all.
It's hot. So I hope we see you in the next half. But go ahead and subscribe and you can check us out. All right, we're back. Continuing on with the topic of generational wealth. And we can talk generational wealth for days. So this is going to be the first one we're going to do, because I'm gonna keep coming back, because I feel like we need to talk about generational wealth. It's often. And it's not hard at all to start. So we're gonna talk about a couple things to start it off. All right, so we're gonna go to Angie. Angie, what's one way that they can, build that generational wealth, or something that's so small that they can do that can help, that next generation?
Well, first of all, insurance policies, life insurance. I was always told, never leave your family in debt if anything happens to you or to your children. A lot of parents have life insurance policies on their children. The children who can't afford their own policies, parents still have policies on them. But as a mother or a father, we are much older than our children. we don't know who would go first, but at the end of the day, we all need those policies. Sometimes some people will have a $5,000 policy, just enough to bury them. You take me, I want a $250,000 policy, $300,000 policy. Why? I have 4 children, I have grandchildren. But at the end of the day, I still want to be able to leave my children something that they, if they haven't started, that'll help them to get started. So they can have a little bit of wealth or set a little bit aside for their children. You know, like I tell people, life insurance policies are very important. My grandmother has always taught us that. I used to see the insurance man coming to our house, you know, ringing the bell. Miss Gladys here, you know. They said we already knew who the insurance man was. We already knew why he was coming. That part alone allowed us as her grandchildren, especially me and some of my other siblings, to recognize that, hey, what she's doing, we need to do. So we watch, we learn. A life insurance policy is very important when it comes to your family members, your mother, your father, your children. If you are on a job and they have benefits, grab them. Yeah. I don't care how much money that you saying I don't have left to come home and this and that. See if that company will still allow you to have those policies and that insurance, because 9 times out of 10, those policies and that insurance isn't coming from that your employer. It's coming from an outsider. So a lot of times that outsider would, say for instance, if you leave the job, they will allow you to continue to carry that insurance with you. You know, that's something that a lot of us don't know. You know, you carry that with you, which is very important. Life insurance is very important. That's generational wealth to me.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like you said, you're not going to leave your family looking for ways to bury you, things like that. Man, I seen one of my homeboys, he sent me a GoFundMe because he was trying to bury his grandmother. I'm like, come on, man.
Right.
No one had life insurance on the grandmother. She didn't have it herself.
Yep.
And nobody thought to, let me take out a plan.
And a lot of times, our elders, they do have life insurance policies, but if they become sick, a lot of times the siblings don't know where their insurance policy at, never heard of an insurance policy. So it's always important to keep somebody close as a beneficiary, as that, and keep that life insurance or that health insurance policy very close to you, your most important papers. Like you take me, I had my insurance papers sent to my mama's house, you know, but, you know, I have one of my children up there as a beneficiary, you know, and it will always be that way. So that, you know, that's how I have things set up, where everybody knows, well, okay, if something happened to Angie, my mom is going to say, well, here's her life insurance. Ty, you're the beneficiary of her policies. And that's how that goes.
Yeah. And another thing about life insurance, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I've heard about whole life insurance where you actually can take loans out on the money that you've already put in for your life insurance. So say you needed a loan for a big purchase, and you know your life insurance, you're not expecting to go tomorrow, right? But you're still paying that life insurance. After you accumulate a certain amount of money, you can get a loan from yourself instead of the bank.
Exactly.
You can be your own bank.
Very smart.
And I've seen multiple people on YouTube talk about this, and like I said, I'm not gonna get too deep into it because I want to be better versed on it before I get to you guys, but it's something that you can do with a life insurance, depending on which one you have. So yeah, I'm with you on that all day. Life insurance. Another thing is simple, so simple that can benefit the next generation if you do it and start it in your lifetime. But go ahead and own a house, buy a house. Everyone needs to live somewhere, right? Most people, either house is paid for because they've been handed down. You know, the people with generational wealth, that's them. And then the people that are out here working every day and have mortgages. I know a bunch of people that have mortgages right now. making sure you make it to the end and pay it off. Make sure you pay it off. Once you pay that mortgage off, you have an asset. You have a solid asset under your belt. And of course, it's your house, and owning other houses will be good too. But I'm just saying something small. Instead of renting, go and get a mortgage, and if you're able to add a little extra money and pay it off earlier, you will have an asset. And if you were to, leave, this earth, you will have something to pass down to the next generation, because you will have a home, and they can either, of course, sell it, get a lump sum of cash, which is nothing wrong with that, or they can have somewhere to keep in the family, depending on what type of land you got, where is that, if it'll be beneficial for the family. I understand all of that, but at the end of the day, having something like a home that's paid off is valuable.
Right.
It's valuable. I know so many people that have, like I said, their grandparents' house, like my coworker did, and it's so valuable. They can rent it out if you need to, or if you want to. If you don't need a extra house, somebody might have passed away, and there you have it. What should you do with it? You can rent it out. You can sell it if you just want that lump sum and want to break it up between whomever, so you don't have to be fussing.
Right.
Like I said, so many options you can do when you have that type of asset, because a home is an asset. So that's something that you need.
Very important.
You need to live somewhere. So it's better to at least try to be working on that mortgage, and if you can make it to pay it off, because they say a mortgage it's called mortgage because you're gonna have it till you die. If you can break that curse and have it, pay it off before you die, you'll have such an asset to hand down to someone. Right. I've also seen someone on YouTube that said they working on who is it? I think it's Brittany, and Budgets with Brittany. Dang. But anyway, she said her and her husband are trying to give each of their children a house. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Yeah. So that's what they working on, but that is something to pass down, That is something. All right, and the next one, Angie, you want to take it?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about generational wealth when it comes to businesses. Years ago, that's what had really this has inspired me over the years. Years ago, I walked into a store, a little small peanut store, in an area in a city close by, and when I walked into the store, I noticed that the grandmother, the grandfather, the mother, the father, and siblings, the mother and father, children, 3 children, were working in there. And I didn't know it until I looked up at this picture on the wall. I said, all y'all work in here? Everybody that's standing in here now works in here? That's when the grandfather, the elder one, he spoke up. The rest of them couldn't speak at that time because they were just listening to him. And he said, yes, ma'am, we wouldn't have it any other way. He said, you don't work for the family business, you're not going to get taken care of from the family's money. And when he said that, I was so impressed. I was like, huh? But I took that home with me, and I said to myself, now, if they're putting down rules like this in this little small store, in which they had land, because I went on to ask them a couple of questions. One son, he was working the farm. He was out shuffling their peanuts, driving the tractor, doing this, doing that. This is what they were doing. And I took all that he had told me, and I was like, why is this man telling me this? But I felt like he told me, and I have taken that with me over the years. And this been over 20 years ago. I've never forgotten it. I was so impressed that I started opening up my own little spots. Trying to have investment has been a little hard, but it still has stuck in my head. What do I do so I can leave my children something, my grandchildren something? You know, I've always said that if anything happens to me, that my children can still take care of me. These things, and I noticed that when this man was in there working, one would grab the bag, the other one was doing this, the other one was doing that, and they made sure that I had top customer service. And I've been going back to that peanut place it seemed like every summer, every winter, I'm steady going back to that same little peanut shop. And what I've noticed, that peanut shop has grown into this big store. It's no longer that little peanut shop. It's a huge store. And what I noticed, the mother, I didn't see the grandfather. I don't really see the grandfather and the grandmother anymore. But the mother, father, and the children are still in there. He told me they still send their children to college. And if you don't want to go to college, you're going to work in that store. And this is how it goes. This is how, if you can't contribute to helping the family business out, you don't get taken care of from the family's money. And he stressed that, so much. And I said, okay, take this. And I learned a lot from that. Another situation was, one day I was out doing my ride share, the little company, my ride share. And I had this Asian or Chinese guy, the people that does nails. And he noticed, he was like, I like your car. I said, thank you. And he was like, I had a car. He said, but my family made me turn my truck back in. He said he had a truck. He said, but my family made me turn it back in. And keep in mind, this man had to been at least in his mid 30s. In his mid 30s. And I was like, he said, because we don't make that much money a month. And as I'm pulling up, I noticed I'm going to this nail shop. I said, so you work here? He said, yeah, but we don't make that much money. He said, all of us in here make the same amount of money. And when he told me, I'm like, you do nails, right? And I know they making a lot of money out of their time. I know they are. Yeah. And as he was telling me that, he said, yeah, but they only pay us a certain amount a month so we can live and get by with things that we need. He didn't say the things that we want. He said, I wanted that truck so bad. It was a Jeep. And he said, my family made me turn it back in. And when he said that, he was like, we only get paid X amount of dollars a month just to survive. The rest of our money goes towards the family to take care of our business, our overhead business, and to be put aside in savings. And I'm saying to myself, are these savings your retirement money? Before I could even say that, he said, retirement. He said, retirement. You know how they talk, they got that little talk and all that, But he made it clear and he made very good sense out of it. And I'm saying to myself, here it is. A lot of us are out here trying to shine, do this, do that, do this. Well, we got this culture right here doing certain things. This culture right here doing certain things. And those certain things that they are doing is for the better of the overall family. Yeah. Not just for that family in that household, or not just for your family. But if we have children coming up, we want our children to be secured, financially secured. And that's how I was so impressed. I'm saying to myself, so I've removed myself from certain things in a certain way of living so I can have that financial wealth. I've never said that, but that's why when Ty asked me to do this, I'm like, now do I go ahead on and say what I'm doing, to the world? But I feel like it needs to be known. I was living a certain type of lifestyle. So I removed myself from that lifestyle because, for one, I'm getting older. For two, I want to make sure that my family has something that I can leave behind. And y'all need to think about that. Y'all really need to think about that.
Need to think about that. Yep. And I love that. I feel the exact same way. I feel like that these conversations need to be had because, hey, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. It is what it is. Black folks need to tighten up.
Exactly.
You just heard what he said. They have it so that if you aren't contributing other cultures, if you aren't going to contribute to this family business, we can't help you.
They say, and he made it clear, you cannot have the family's money.
You need a job, and I got a business, and you ain't going to come work for me? Oh, you ain't got nothing for you. Why aren't we doing the same thing? Why aren't we making sure because I know that culture. We're going to talk about that culture. That culture has it on lock. That culture has the hair salons on lock, the nail salons on lock, and the Chinese food on lock.
The beauty supplies.
And it's admirable. You know, they quiet, they don't bother nobody. It's admirable. They ain't out here shining on people. Have you ever seen when someone in the Asian community or Korean community out here trying to shine? No, they humble with it.
Very humble.
They got their business on lock.
And another thing, Ty, where I had a salon was right next door to a nail shop. And when I had that salon next door to a nail shop, what you said, they were very humble people. Very humble. They all came to work riding in the same car. It wasn't a whole bunch of this. The mother came in. They just handled their business. You never heard a peep out of, but their business was very, very busy.
Successful.
Very busy. And they still in business today.
And I'm not saying you can't shine, right? I know it's in us. Sometimes it's, we are kings and queens, right? I know sometimes we want to shine and we want to floss, right? It's a time and place for that. I'm just saying that when you are coming up, if you can keep, like parents, for example, if you can keep it in your kids' mind that they need to work and make sure they benefit in the family, you need to make sure you are putting something back to the family. That's a way to generate that generational wealth for generations and generations and generations. Because that's what they're doing. I mean,
exactly.
I know the same Asian people in my hometown are the same family as running those Chinese restaurants. The same family. When I was going to school with one of the guys that worked that parents owned it, and he already knew, we good, we gonna run that restaurant, and I'm gonna run it too one day. He already knew it was coming to him. He already was thinking like, that's gonna be my restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay, because they keep it in the culture. And right now we talking about the Asian culture, but there's a lot of other cultures that make sure they do that.
Yes.
That make sure that you gonna make sure you provide for the family or do something with the business that we have, because they know that it's something that they can put their family name on and we can build on the family. So that, again, something small that you can do, we can start doing as people and as a family, making sure that we support each other and build off of each other. If I got a business and I come up, I would hope my sons put in work for me before they go get a 9-to-5 working for someone else.
Exactly.
That's what you're doing. And you saying, nah, I don't want to work for dad. I'm going to go work for whomever this company is. When I got a business that you can probably be a boss in, or you can come up through and help me out, help the business expand, like Angie was talking about, their business expand, because at the end of the day, you should be, you're a part of my family.
Right.
You should help this business be bigger.
Yep.
And I think you got something?
Yeah, another thing too, when you going into a business, one of the Asian guys told me once before, and he was the one who guided me into the direction of getting the bigger salon. He said to me, him and his wife said to me, when you sign a lease, say for instance you going into a building somebody owns most of the time, because that's what they do. He said, never sign that lease for 2 or 3 years. He said, you sign that lease for 10 plus years. By you doing that, your rent is going to be a whole lot cheaper. Long as you're paying your rent, those 10 years going to add to 20 years, going to add to 30 years. And that's how that business get passed down. Because 9 times out of 10, the person that comes in there the first 10 years, they're not going to stay in there. They're moving on to something else, to build something else, and passing it on down to whoever's still in there. Yeah. But he also he definitely said that to me. He said, never sign a lease for 2 or 3 years. He said, sign your lease for 10 plus years. He said that's where you'll see your money, and this is what he said. He said this is how we stay so long. That's what he said to me.
Because at the end of the day, if you are the landlord of whatever the property is, the person that said they're gonna stay for 20 years and gonna go sign that, hey, I'm with you.
Yep.
I mean, I ain't got to find a tenant because I've been there, done that.
Right, and the rent is going to be cheaper every time. And he was right. He was right.
Yep. All right, so I know I said I was going to make y'all subscribe for this one, but we might have to make this one free, Angie. What do you think?
I don't know.
It's pretty
I think you'll make some good money off of it.
I give him a taste. We give him a taste of what we talk about. Because again, I do exclusive, and I like to, most of the time I like to make it part of the exclusive subscription when people come on and talk with me, because you can hear me talk all day. I got countless videos of me talking all day, but I really feel like the chemistry be booming when we actually talk together. So one other thing that of course I just learned about is investing in stock market. The stock market is a great place to build generational wealth, because whenever you buy stocks, you are holding assets, just like a house. You're holding assets, and if those assets go up or down, at the end of the day, if you were to die tomorrow, you can pass those assets down to someone. A stock portfolio is very important. A lot of people during their retirement, they receive money from stock portfolios. Like, I'm building up a decent retirement portfolio that I'm going to be using in my retirement that brings me income in, and when I die, when I pass it on, if it was bringing me income, enough income to be retired, it could bring my sons or grandchildren in some income if they keep these stocks. And I'm talking about dividend stocks. Dividend stocks, of course, you can receive income, passive income from dividend stocks, and a lot of times people like to get them in retirement. And not just that, you can open custodial accounts for your children. So both of my sons have custodial accounts, right? And when I put money into these custodial accounts, it's money that I cannot pull out. That is something that's so important, because as parents, I know sometimes we got things and things might pop up. If you're able to pull it out back and forth, there's a lot of times you might dip into your kid's pot, right? I've seen it. We've done it. My son got a bank upstairs. If I need a 20, I'm going to take that 20 because I don't carry cash, and I'm going to put it back, right? But when there's something that's there and you can't take it out, I think the only this custodial account, I know when you hear you can't take it out, it might sound scary, but a custodial account that I have, my kids will get it at the age of maturity, which is 18, and they can pull out from it if it's relating to school, tuition, books, things like that. Other than that, you can't touch that money. I can only put in. Others can actually contribute to their custodial account too. So this is a way to build wealth for them while you're still alive. I know we've been talking about when you die and things like that, but stocks have the ability to generate that generational wealth well before. And of course, if you pick the best stocks that grow, maybe ETFs that are baskets of stocks, or just companies like Disney, Apple, companies that are going to be around for a while. If you pick them up now and they grow, that too is growth for the next generation. But of course, you have to be versed in the stock market and learn and educate yourself on the stock market to do some of those things, which is not hard. That's what my YouTube channel is all about. You can make stock investing as difficult as you need, if you want it to be, or as easy as you want it to be. You can always hire stock advisors, stock professionals to guide you on your path to generating wealth with the stock market. But it is something that I didn't know about. Like some of the wealthiest people in the world, like Warren Buffett. I know I wanted that one. like Warren Buffett. For example, Warren Buffett has a stock portfolio so big that he doesn't need to have a job. He receives so much money from income from stocks that he doesn't need a job. He makes more revenue, passive income from holding his stocks than most people do with their 9-to-5 job, right? And it's because he invested and he knew about the stock market. And it's not hard. We can do the same thing. You know, maybe it might take us some time to get there, like Warren Buffett, but this is why generational wealth is so important. Picture this: if I die with a stock portfolio that's about $200,000, because I'm building, of course it's gonna get probably higher than that. I'm just using this for a low ball. If I die with a stock portfolio of $200,000, and this stock portfolio brings me in maybe an annual of $15,000 every year, just $15,000 just for holding my stocks, brings me $15,000. If my kids are smart, they will not sell anything in that portfolio, and they will add to it. If they add to what I already had, next thing you know, whoever holds this stock portfolio will get, maybe they can double it. We'll get $30,000 to $40,000 just for holding this portfolio. All right, let's say the next generation passes it down. Now, guess what? The family is earning mad money every year, and I'm talking little numbers. My portfolio is going to be bigger than that, of course, but I'm just talking little numbers. This is what the wealthy people do. This is why families that own shares in companies like the Coca-Cola family, you think they got to work? No, because they own so many shares of a company that family is wealthy. When you look at some of the wealthiest people in the world, you're like, why are they wealthy? Of course, they say real estate is one, but stocks and dividends, when you have a large amount of money like that, and your family has been building off, you don't have to sell anything. And you know, the stock market, I could talk about the stocks for days, but we just gonna keep it mild today. One other thing that I wanted to say, I wanted to talk about it earlier. It ran away from me, and then I guess we close it out, because we could talk for days about passive income. But let's see, Angie, you know about the Kardashians, right?
Right.
You know they're like some of the wealthiest people, right?
Right.
And if you guys noticed at the beginning, we was like, I know I've always said it because I don't know too much about the Kardashians, but they got money, right? But it's a family of wealth. And I was like, what do they do? I always said that. But they have generational wealth, right?
Yep, generational wealth.
And one thing that they do that I think is, amazing, of course, the TV show, and, everybody loves Kim and them. But each one of those females, each one of those women that I've seen, they start a business.
Exactly.
They start something. And why can they start a business? Because their family has generational wealth, which allows them to have a certain amount of free time, and with that free time, they still gonna make money. So they have the ability to be creative, to go out there and reach, have dreams and be creative, right, and be creative in how they want to make money, because their family has generational wealth. They have the flexibility to do whatever they want to do as a business. They got makeup lines.
Yeah. They got their boutiques. Lines. They got the clothing stores.
They got a killer following.
Kim just came out with her underclothes, like her the panties and the tights, the spandex pieces, and they are beautiful. Her pieces are beautiful. I'm gonna be honest, they are really unique and beautiful. But I think it's called skins or skims or something like that. But look it up. But she, they from what I've seen over the years, they keep growing. Because I remember their very first boutique, and that was about 10, 15 years ago. And when I saw them girls putting up a boutique, I said, I want to do the same thing.
They inspiring people.
Right. They're inspired. They had that generational wealth to support their back a little bit, to support them, and they kept growing from there. Growing from there. Growing and growing.
And that's something too. You have to teach. Now, you talking about generational wealth and passing down something. We have to make sure that our children know what to do with that.
Right.
Like you just said, those girls are smart. They're pretty girls,
yes.
And you might see them for other reasons.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they knew what to do with
it. Exactly.
And they keep wealth in the family.
Yes, and I was going to say, that's why I said they keep on going, and they keeping it right there. Right there.
And I feel like even with the people they date, like how you were saying that they got certain rules and stuff, I can already say that family, that ain't a family you just gonna be up in.
Exactly. And that mother Chris, she gonna handle her business.
So
I don't fault her.
So yeah, you have to make sure if you are going to pass generational wealth down, you have to make sure that the people receiving it are prepared to receive it.
That's true. I like that one, Ty. I really like that.
Because somebody can leave you, like somebody we know, somebody can leave you a farm, cows, land, but if you don't know how to get out there and work it, if you don't know how to go out there and be a landlord, if you don't know how to go out there and maintain that generational wealth, you're gonna lose it.
Right.
When that person that passed it down go, if nobody taught the generation before it how to get it and maintain it,
right,
you're destined to lose it.
Right.
Destined to lose it. So if you start a business, you got the best mechanic business around, but if you don't have no one that's gonna take up your business, your business probably go away. It might make your family some money, but the goal is to keep growing each generation and make whatever your legacy was bigger.
Keep that legacy golden. Keep it golden.
Got to. So we're gonna wrap this up. Because again, we could talk all night.
Yes. This is a good one, Ty.
I appreciate you being here with us, Angie.
No problem.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be plenty more with you.
Anytime.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up the money talks, and again, we're gonna make this one. I guess we go ahead and make it free, but make sure you guys consider subscribing and becoming members and followers of the podcast. We got talks like this all the time, and we got plenty more. Because I'm gonna be growing this. I plan on doing interviews with a lot of other people, but right now we still have so much to cover. It's so much that needs to be said. People need to hear about. People need to be talking about. And generational wealth is definitely one of those things. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate y'all checking us out. I'm going to say peace.
Peace, y'all.